We're gonna talk about Instagram tips, guys. It's a classic. Instagram has been around for quite a while now, and even though I do hear people talking about I don't like the algorithm, this and that, it's all about the long game because it's not going anywhere. So what I like to tell people is 5 years you're gonna wish you started putting in the work today, even though it's saturated, which again, you gotta focus on the positives and what you can do. Obviously there's more people growing up being on the platform, but that doesn't mean it's gonna expire in like 2 years, so it's not worth it. So we asked top photographers what's a tip or two that they would give to someone who's trying to grow an audience on Instagram. So we're gonna go over those responses, and I'm also gonna check out some of their profiles as well to check out their awesome work. So let's get into those helpful tips. Let's get it. All right, so we're gonna start off with Luis Dalvan from Sao Paulo. Beautiful work, man. And his tip is try to specialize in a photography niche, studying references and perfecting your technique. Practicing is the most important part of building work. Create a portfolio based on the synthesis of these references. So amazing tip. Usually you'll develop a certain style of photography, whether you even try to or not. And I love his tip about gathering sort of inspiration or a reference from other people's work. So maybe you really like a film that has a certain look to it, or you look up to some seasoned photographers that have awesome work. So definitely don't be shy when trying to practice a certain look that you saw somewhere, especially if it really vibes with you and you can see yourself progressively getting better at in the long run and overall enjoying doing. I think everyone should follow Lewis because he does have a very interesting feed, and I think everyone can learn from his work. So if we look at the last 9 images that he shared, I love that he stacks 3 similar images at a time. So in the bottom layer we can see that there's of course the yellow hint to every single image, but I also do like that in some posts he shares a different edit of the same photo. So here's the main edit, but here the subject, you can't see his face. Here is the classic black and white, and so on. I really like his use of light in images. So for example, there's always really cool shadows from windows, like in this one and this one as well. None of his photos seem to have areas that are overexposed, which it just comes with practice and knowing how to take photos and all of that. So beautiful work, man. Definitely give him a follow. And up next, at Ekrulila gave us a very short and simple tip, which is sharing regularly and producing useful content to stimulate followers. Sharing regularly is, I think, one of the most important tips because you do want your followers to see your work often. Overall, if you share more content, you get better, but then you also have a higher chance of getting discovered by people who don't follow you. So this feed has a different color palette than the first one, but right off the bat, look at how beautiful the highlight covers are. Now the color in the highlight covers matches the color palette used throughout the feed. Now if you notice, a lot of these photos are from daily life, so it's a good idea to carry around your camera so you can practice developing your vision by framing up subjects and just trying to see what catches your eye, and that way you get better at photography. And up next is Flora Westbrook, who sent in a ton of awesome info that pretty much condenses down to not overthinking it, sharing what you want to share, as well as being real, honest, and creative. Also being consistent and having your feed show what a potential client would get from you if you're a professional photographer. And also connecting with people and sharing who you are, whether it's through stories or maybe even reaching out to someone. These flat lay images of these eggs are insane. I mean, look at everything that's going on. I mean, there's one completely cracked, there's one that's half cracked. Look at the shadow on these two over here. These are awesome. And there's another one over here that is again awesome because everything is perfectly positioned and it just looks so good. But I'm also a big fan of how she captures moments. So like in this one, there's movement, but then there's a smile, and it just seems like a really fun image. And also these double exposures are really good, from the colors to the position of the images. So as you can see in the image right here, her hair kind of flows with the nose of the second image, so it doesn't really obstruct the eye, and it's just beautiful. I'm a really big fan. And the next tip is from Ian Begley, who makes a super important point, which is again to connect with the followers that you already have. It has to be a two-sided relationship where you support other creators instead of just expecting others to, see your work, like, comment, and share your work, and you not really reciprocating that love. So make it a goal to make friends on Instagram and support them whenever they share a photo or video, because even if it's just one photo, sometimes it takes a very long time from preparing to take the photo to editing it and getting it all ready. So it's a really cool feeling to know that others enjoy the final product that you put so much into. Ian has an awesome mix of nature and some city shots, and I love this time lapse that he took at the Griffith Conservatory, I think. So just check out the framing, and there's also a slight scale in, and from the look of all the activity and the end of the clip, it seems like this was at least 45 minutes, hour 15. that it took to create this time lapse, maybe even longer. And this shot at White Sands National Park is insane. Like, it looks so clean composition wise. The bottom 2/3 is all sand. Up top, it's not just an empty sky. There's a little cloud right there. And these two reflection shots are super cool. So one is of New York City and one is in Arizona. So keep an eye out for puddles because these are some awesome shots. Jonas's tip is to not limit yourself based on what other people might think, because the internet does have its negativity, that's a fact, but you shouldn't fixate on it. You should remain true to what you want to do and who you are. So shout out to Jonas, very important thing to mention. Now, the tip that Emrakuzu gave is to be mindful of aspect ratios, tones of photos, and also framing. So personally, a vertical 4x5 format is the best for Instagram because it takes up the most real estate on everyone's phone, and this makes it harder for someone to accidentally scroll past your image. And again, if you're putting in a bunch of work into creating content, you want the most amount of people to be able to appreciate your work. So I think this creates a little advantage. And he also mentioned tags, which is another small boost that you should definitely be taking advantage of. And lastly, we're going to end on Elena's beautiful advice, which is just to do what you love and share what you see and feel. I think this is a very important piece of advice because you never want to force the issue and just hyper focus on numbers and growing, because I'm sure you've heard it before that once you let go of that and kind of focus on creating and just showing your true colors and doing what you love, that's when you start to see growth, and overall you enjoy the process and you do things for the right reasons. All right, so that's it. I wish you guys the best in your own journeys, and shout out to the awesome photographers that took the time to give us these great pieces of advice. I know I'm definitely gonna implement a bunch of these tips for my Instagram account, so definitely give them all a follow. But that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a like down below if you did. Subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss another upload, and I'll see you guys in the next one.